Welcome back to the Thriving Business Mama Show with your host, Jessica Fox, where we talk all things business and motherhood. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We're going to dive right into part 1 of Community in the Pathway to Thrive series, starting now.
Thriving in business and motherhood is and can be as simple as A, B, C, C, D. It's as simple as A, B, C. So we're going to get into this and we're going to talk about the first C today, which is community. And really, the question associated with the pillar of community is where am I influenced? And this is all about relationships. So we are going to dive into the power of we. We can have it all. We can have everything that we desire while we're raising kids, while we're continuing to grow. Here's the thing though, we can't do it by ourselves. We can have it all in our business and our motherhood, but we cannot do it all ourselves. One of the biggest sources of overwhelm and frustration that I see is that when one of my clients is trying to do everything by themselves, they're trying to manage their household by themselves, trying to figure out how to grow their business by themselves. They have no one to turn to on the hard days. They have no systems in place to ensure their success in the different fronts of their life. They aren't part of a community that they can lean back into for encouragement and support. And they have this attitude, it's either twofold. And I'm guilty of this too, ladies. I had this attitude. If I don't do it, it won't get done or it won't get done right. Or the belief that, I'm the only one here, so I might as well just do it. You see, what I have seen is that, and this is especially hard for perfectionists. I like to say that I'm a recovering perfectionist and I can help you too become a recovering perfectionist. When we hold that we have to be responsible for everything and hold this belief that if I don't do it, no one else will, or we hold ourselves responsible for holding everything together, it's daunting. That's when the thought, I just don't know if I can fit one more thing, comes up. Or I just need to find the time. I don't know if I can find the time. What else comes up here too is, well, you're telling me that, I need to put aside time for my business and time for me, but I have no one to help me. So how can I do that? But what is true is that, and this is true of myself too, is that there's this overinflated sense of duty that I have to be all to all people to all things that holds us back from letting go of the things that we can let go of. And then we just live in this perpetual cycle of overwhelm and frustration, which leads to burnout. And then burnout leads to shame because the overwhelming sense of failure associated with the realization that I can't do it all. And I don't know if you're like me, but when I got to that point, it was, well, if I can't do it all, I might as well not do anything. And it was just this strange season where I had to fight this internal battle against this need to be perfect and yet facing utter total shutdown in my body and in my mind, because I kept forcing myself to do more and be more, all the while taking on more on my own shoulders and in my own responsibility. And what I know now is that there were people ready and waiting to step in and take some of the burdens off my shoulders that I was carrying. I was just so blinded by this belief that I had to do everything and be everything, and that if I didn't do it, I wasn't enough, that I couldn't see those that were ready to walk with me. I want you guys to understand the power of we. Because when we step into a we mindset, and when we allow ourselves permission to not be able to do it all, we can have it all, but we cannot do it all ourselves. And there's a distinction there. You can have everything you desire. You can pursue that dream. You can have the relationship with your spouse and your children. You can create the business that creates the impact that is on your heart. But I want you to understand that it is not just on you to see it all happen. And when you're able to open up to the possibility of receiving from others to help your dream come alive, you will move forward faster and see more come as you move towards your final goal and your dream. A great example of this is my client, Marian. When I met Marian, she was overwhelmed by life. She was overwhelmed to the point of inaction and indecision. And she knew that she needed help to really help her prioritize and to encourage her, but also hold her accountable to follow through. Because for her, she was so overwhelmed, she just stopped doing everything, which just perpetuated her overwhelm, because she would look around at her situation and it was just staring back at her in her face. And yet she felt helpless to do anything because she was afraid and didn't have the energy to do it. And so when I started working with her, my first question, and this is always my first question for my clients, is what is important to you and why is it important? You see, at that point, she was so overwhelmed that she couldn't even tell me what was important for her. And so we started working together to get her literally focusing one day at a time. What can we accomplish today that will help you feel successful? And how can you ask and enlist help from those around you? And literally one day at a time started turning into a week at a time. And very slowly, as we worked together one day at a time at first, she was able to start making headway because she allowed support to help her get through the moments and the days. And what was amazing as we went from one moment to 1 hour to 1 day to 1 week is that she actually started seeing the momentum in the life that she was working for. Rather than being overwhelmed by the circumstance that she was in, she started tackling it literally one box at a time. And very quickly was able to start moving forward in her personal life, which allowed her the creative energy to start making headway in her business. What was amazing is I watched her literally need me to hold her hand at the beginning to get through a day, to starting to plan ahead for an entire month. And it's because she let herself be supported. I couldn't be there to help her physically, but I could help with her emotional support. I could help her make decisions for that moment and help her decide what was important for that day. And as the overwhelm really started to regress for her, so much changed. And now she's really moving forward in other aspects of her life. When we are able to stop trying so hard to do it all of ourselves and invite others to support us, it gives us that extra sense of energy to move forward. And this is the power of we. And in your fill in the blank, there's 6 lines. And this is what I would really like you. The power of we is this. First of all, number 1, the power of we lets us know that we're not alone. So often as mothers, we feel very isolated. I know, like working from home, especially during COVID, when my husband went back to work and my kids were going back to school, I felt very isolated for a while because there was nobody around me. And I'm talking into a camera most of the time. It's this surreal aspect where I know someone's at the other end of the camera, but I can't touch them. I can hear them, but I can't touch. And there's moments where it's very isolating. But when we understand that we are not alone, when we step into the power of we, even in this digital place, we get to know that we're not alone, that there are other people that are having the same experiences that we are. And that sense of isolation goes away because we are inviting others into our space, into our heart, and lets us know we're not alone. The power of we, number 2, is many hands make the work light. Oftentimes, I have to remind my clients that they are not the only person in their family that lives in their house. I cannot count the number of times, ladies, that I have had this conversation with my clients. Let me tell you right now, you are not the only person in your house. The other members of your family are just as responsible for the care and maintenance of your house as you are. Now, that might look different depending on, whether or not you have a spouse, if you're a single parent, and on the age of your children, of course. But for the most part, I want you to understand, and this goes for your business too, many hands make work light. And there are aspects, so in our homes, that our children and our spouse, they need to be responsible for the house too. We all live here. We've all contributed to the mess. We've all contributed to the piles and mountains of laundry, which never seem to end. In our businesses, there are people that are more skilled in the areas that you hate doing and are ready to help you. Many hands make light work. Maybe many hands for you may be getting someone to help you when in terms of watching your kids or picking them up for school even. We need to seek out help and ask for what we need. Scripture says we have not because we ask not. And sometimes it's just a matter of communicating our needs and the help is there. And we're able to move forward. So many hands make light work. Power of we, number 3, provides honest feedback and encouragement. Here's the thing, ladies. In the different aspects of our life, sometimes we just need someone to be honest with us. If something isn't working, whether you're in your parenting, in your relationship with your spouse, in your finances, in your business, we need to find somebody who is further along in the journey of us and just ask, would you be willing to take a look at this and give me some feedback? Receive the feedback, but then take it a step further. Okay, so how can I be encouraged to move forward in this? So the beautiful thing about a group is that we get feedback as well as encouragement. When we embrace community, Feedback and encouragement is really important. Number 4, the power of we helps us get unstuck by providing tools and perspective. Again, this kind of piggybacks on number 3, that when we are getting that feedback, we can ask for the tools that we need to move forward. This is where a coach or a professional of some sort can come in and help. Here's the reality, like if my fridge breaks down, I'm going to be calling okay, true story. I have had nothing but problems with my AC and heating unit. And I have to call somebody who actually knows more about that to fix it. After I did everything that I knew how to do, resetting the breaker and changing filters and cleaning this and that, nothing worked. I did everything I knew how to do, but I still can't get this silly AC unit to work. And so we've had to call professionals because they have the tools and perspective that I don't have to solve the problem. And sometimes in our life and in our business, we need somebody else to give us the perspective and the tools to help us solve our problem, because we're so thick in it. We've done everything we know how to do, but we're still not getting the results. And it's okay to ask for help. The power of we also keeps us motivated. One of the things that I love about being part of masterminds and in the coaching programs that I participate in as a client is seeing this group of amazing men and women who are on a similar journey as me. And it's just this sense that we are in this together. We understand the highs and lows of what we're doing because we all have similar stories. Well, similar missions, I should say. We're using similar tools. And so when we come together, we can keep each other motivated. We can keep each other moving forward and help one another. There's a really cool quote, and it says this. It says, running with someone else makes you run faster. Swimming with someone else makes you swim faster. Others can help us do things that we might not otherwise. So we can set up situations where we actually encourage ourselves to be healthier, encourage ourselves to make better choices by shaping our environment through others. And this is a quote from Jonah Berger. I love this quote because it speaks to the power of motivation within community. Now, for some of us, we compare and despair, but in a healthy community, we allow each other's wins and struggles to help us stay motivated. And then we encourage one another in that as well. And then number 6, in the power of we, it provides outside resources and ideas. So again, sometimes we just need that outside perspective. And I have to be totally honest, ladies. I wish my husband could be my outside perspective. My husband is my biggest absolute 100% cheerleader, and I love him for it. But he's so biased. He is so biased that I can't trust him to give me an outside perspective, to give me that, 130-foot view of my situation. And so sometimes I just need to step out of my situation and step out of my bubble and ask for a different perspective. And sometimes being able to have someone from the outside look, whether it's my business, my parenting, my relationships, my finances, they're able to see stuff that I can't. And it's just really amazing to be able and open to others speaking into my reality. So that is the power of we. It's the power of we. And just really understanding that there's strength in numbers, ladies. And it is okay to reach out for help and to reach out for community in a way that's going to move you forward.
Thank you for joining the Thriving Business Mamas show with your host, Jessica Fox. That was part 1 of Community. Join us next week for part number 2. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for when part 2 goes live.